Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, where's John? Here's John.
There we go. You put me on. I was waiting to get on.
A little tech issue there. Hey, everybody. Sorry we're late.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV, powered by the OBBM Network with John and Sam on this Mental Health Monday. You know, saw the new ad, Sam. We are now on Sirius XM.
Almost. Yep.
Almost.
Yes, we have a lot of stuff going on in the background. We want to thank everybody at OBBM Network for getting we have a whole lineup of shows that really interesting and very valuable content. Spreely Network picked us up. And if you don't know what that stands for, it's Speak Freely, because we want to preserve the right to have a show and speak our minds and have guests that come on and that can speak freely and speak their minds without worrying about being deplatformed or canceled, or like what kind of happened with us with ScrewTube and during COVID.
You know, you bring up a great point, and since we're celebrating 250 years of patriotic freedom for America, you think about the freedoms that we do have that we take for granted, and freedom of speech is one of them. And that's what I love about A Badge of Honor. You know, we take all opinions, and we don't judge. We let everybody speak freely, but we don't have to agree with with anybody else's opinions or anybody else, but to listen and absorb what they're saying out of respect for them. That's what freedom of speech is all about, instead of discounting them or saying that they're wrong. Everybody has their own rights, and that's what makes America beautiful.
Yeah. Don't really want to spend too much time on this, but if you're going to get on social media and, you know, say F America, F this country, F, you know, you are allowed to do that because of our independence and the 4th of July. So if you don't like it, nobody is stopping you. There's something called a passport and a visa process. Go. The president
should, once they sees that, the president should say, okay, that's fine. You could say F America, you could say all that stuff, but we'll cut off all your benefits on all your future benefits. That means you won't have a right to Social Security. You don't have a right to a driver's license. You don't have any of the American freedom rights because you hate this country so much. Now you just live on your own.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever come to that, but I just wish people would appreciate that they have the right to speak and do kind of what they want, sort of kind of freely. There's still rules in business. Hive Bakery and in Flower Mound, talking about you again. Hive Bakery, mark that, and Flower Mound. Don't like the guy in the Oval Office. He's changing in 4 years, but don't crap on the country. Check yourself.
That's right.
Check yourself. Anyway, switching gears here, because you and I also noticed over the weekend lots of stressors with our first responders. They're being worked to the bone, particularly in New York, but hopefully we're in Texas, so highlight the shenanigans going on in Fort Worth. Fort Worth PD, we love you, but you got to get your poop in order. You got to get your ship righted. We cannot have officers going out, with people on public sidewalks threatening to arrest them because they're speaking freely on a public sidewalk. No, you don't. Don't get to do that. There's that thing called the oath. Me and John swore the oath to the Constitution. You already lost that lawsuit a couple of years ago. You got another big one probably on the way that you're going to negotiate away and try to hide that settlement. We don't play that. So if we're going to call out because we wore the badge, we're going to call it out. If you're under stress, you need some help. If you need continuing education on what the Constitution actually is and what it means and the oath that you swore, get it. But it's causing a huge rift between community and first responders, and it's completely unnecessary. And don't even get me started with the NYPD. You're not going to get out there and get on a bully pulpit and muscle and only serve the people that have a permit to do a speaking event. You serve and protect everybody in your community. And you don't get to square up to guys, just speaking their mind and try to bully them to get out and threaten them with arrest. And, you guys can find the videos online. It's very disappointing. Again, stress. This is all about stress. These guys need a break. And maybe the break is like not just a day off, but a serious break. What do you think, John?
No, well, just get on what you said. And that's where the problem lies. The NYPD has been working 12-hour shifts constantly, no regular days off. They're running all these details. These guys are physically and mentally exhausted. People are coming into their face and screaming at them every day. There is a breaking point, and everybody's human. And just, there comes to a time where, it doesn't matter if you're wearing a uniform or what, you're going to start losing your shit over the smallest things because you are pushed to that level. And I blame it on the politicians. I blame it on the city for not increasing the manpower PD, constantly getting these guys overworked and not giving them the credit that they need. These young men and women of the NYPD are there. They served that oath. They took that oath with honor. And I'm telling you right now, 99.9% of them want to serve that oath with honor. But the politicians and the city aren't letting them because they're not giving them the tools they need.
Yeah, well, we got to give them a break. It's apparent because stuff is getting ready to boil over. We've already seen the citizenry of New York boil over, but we can't have our first responders boil over. We know how we get the education, we get the training, but when we need a break, we need to know where to go. And thank goodness we have, at least in the Dallas area, and the Meadows is spread out throughout the country, but I'm going to let Andrea and Caitlin talk about that we have a program here in Dallas called Unbroken, and it's for first responders and our military community. So welcome, Andrea and Caitlin. Welcome to A Badge of Honor TV.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
You are very welcome. Andrea, we'll start with you. Tell everybody watching and listening on the favorite podcast app a little bit about you and your background.
Absolutely. My name is Andrea Heath. I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor. I've been with the Meadows for 8 years. And in that journey, I am EMDR trained. And with the Meadows, we specialize in trauma. And we are world renowned for trauma. So we have locations nationwide that have the Unbroken program. And Caitlin and I are at the Dallas location where we have a specific group that is growing, and we are reaching out because the best way that we believe to learn is to be hands-on and get our feet on the ground with the first responders and the military, and to learn from them of what do y'all need and how can we meet that need with our Unbroken program.
That is fantastic. Yeah. Caitlin, we'll throw it to you. Just tell everybody watching and listening a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, so I'm Caitlin Pena. I'm an LPC. I've been with the Meadows for the last 4 years, but a therapist for 10. And I actually have a long history of military in my family and a deep respect for military and first responders. And I was drawn to this career field to work with acute trauma. And that has always been my jam. That's always been what I've really enjoyed doing. And so when I got an opportunity to kind of marry a family background and a passion of mine, and really serve a community that I think is underserved and really needs the mental health support. I was really excited to be the therapist that runs this program at the Dallas location. So I get the honor of running group 4 days a week, 3 hours a day with our military vet first responder group, and get to work with them doing specialty trauma modalities and running our Unbroken curriculum. So I'm really excited to be doing it.
That is awesome. And I just love that you guys both come from a background to understand, I'll say, our brains and how we are a bit different than the ordinary citizen out there. We've got to take our first break. When we come back, let's talk about what the Unbroken program is all about. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, everybody.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% US-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
Well, hey, John, do you like free mobile service?
I like anything free, and especially mobile service.
That's right. Times are a little tough out there. Who doesn't want something free? So we all know we've been in an area, we have our mobile device, and it's like, hello, we can't hear you. The call drops, whatever it is. And I used to live in an area where on any given day, maybe the call wouldn't even go through. This is where Patriot Mobile comes in. You can keep your device if you love it, or grab a new one, or you can sign up by going to 972 Patriot. Let me bring this banner up here. I'm kind of falling down the thing. Okay, so 972 Patriot, and just tell them a badge of honor sent you by saying badge, and you will get a free month of service to try out. If you are a first responder or a veteran or a military member, active duty, automatic discounts on top of the discount you get when you say badge. And that goes for every single line for your family member. So that's 972 Patriot. You'll talk to a member in their North Dallas, North Texas region, but right here in Texas, or patriotmobile.com/badge, take you to a page where you can fill out your information, and a team member will give you a call. So here we go across the bottom of the screen. So take advantage of the free month. You don't like it after a month? Just go back to
Get rid of it.
one of the big 3 that you're using. The whole point is put your money where your values are. So get Patriot Mobile. Love it. Back to the show, John.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam, with our guests Caitlin and Andrea with Unbroken. Before the show, when we were back in agreement, we were talking about therapists and first responders and veterans. And Caitlin, you brought this up with a military background. You grew up around the military. You saw the traumas, but you probably didn't see them as clear as you see them now as a therapist after you learned about these certain keyed in tones or whatever, right? And that's what's so important, to have a therapist or a counselor that understands what you're going through and get that comfort feeling with them.
Yeah. It's so important that when military and first responders go get therapy, first of all, it's a population that it's hard to get them to go ask for help. It's kind of counterintuitive to the culture. And so to even get someone in the door to say, hey, I'm outside my window, I'm in over my head, that's a battle in itself. And so we have this acute awareness that we've got one shot, right? Like, we really have one opportunity. Otherwise, someone's not going to come back. And so if someone comes in the door and is greeted with a therapist that can't handle acute trauma, that isn't able to sit with the graphic, with the calls that people have to incur, the judgment and the shame, the family problems, the emotional dysregulation, the flashbacks. I mean, I could go on and on. If there's a therapist that's not specifically trained to do that, the first responder then becomes the caregiver, and it's really problematic. And so it's really important to us that we are culturally competent, that we are trained. The Meadows and Andrea will talk about this. We are experts in trauma. That is our bread and butter. That is what we do. And so we were already meeting this community and seeing them on a regular basis. They were in our groups, and we were getting great results and great work with them. And we realized, man, that we could really serve this population and create a group where there was more camaraderie and connection and more relatability, and then have an increased curriculum specific to the issues that first responders and military vets are encountering.
Now, one thing that I noticed when you guys were introducing yourselves is the length of time that you've been with the Meadows. We have seen a lot of programs where the therapists, you know, they have great intentions, and for whatever reason, it seems like a revolving door, which is tough because for first responders, members of the military and our veterans, if there's not a call it a comfortable space to land and to stay with consistency time after time after time, and even once they've completed, let's say they're in EMDR protocol, they're out where they can pick up the phone and call without like, oh, they're not working here anymore. And now it's like, well, shoot, I needed to get in and get a little tune up, and now I don't know where my therapist went. So I want to applaud you guys and the Meadows as a company for having you guys stick with it, because that's where the programs really shine. That's where the trust is built. So thank you.
Yeah.
And to speak to that, I think it's important to state that we have been a business for 50 years. We're celebrating 50 years of treating trauma. And it's only recently have we entered the managed care side of the business. We've mostly been self-pay. And I think that speaks volumes to the offerings that we offer. And we have been actively treating, like Caitlin said, these populations in the mixed population groups. And what we noticed is that there was such a need and a specialty for this group to address the needs. And Caitlin is ART trained and certified, so she doesn't even have to have all the details of a situation to be able to release the nervous system of that energy that's stored from traumatic events. Oftentimes, officers are really, and firefighters are really hesitant to share that data, because speaking it creates a nervous system reaction, which is normal. So a lot of the things that they believe is so different among them, we normalize as your nervous system is releasing the energy. Emotions are molecular energy. We have to disperse it, and we do that through various means. With our group, not only do they have the group together, we have specialty topics including moral injury, we have cultural competency. Caitlin's working on the certified first responders counselors certification. We are psych armor trained. So we are going for the labels of training to make us beneficial and useful. We currently have had the active military be shipped here from all over the United States and all over the world to receive our care. There is something to that.
Yeah, that speaks volumes.
We can do it. We can work with TRICARE. We can work with all the different options. And even if you have a rotating shift schedule, we can find ways to work with you so that they can get their needs met. And once they complete our program, we have an alumni group for Unbroken. So they get to continue to check in and support each other and welcome the new graduates in.
That's great.
And then we're also working on starting the family support group for Unbroken that is going to be specifically curriculum based for the families, free of charge, open to the public, regardless if your loved one is attending our programs or not.
I think that's a huge issue, especially with the families. You know, me and Sam always said in our workshop, you know, the spouses of a first responder or a military veteran, you know, we can't hide it from them anymore. We have TV, we have the internet, you know, everything's out there. So the the old adage line of I'm protecting you, or I don't want to say this. You know, we have to, as first responders, share those traumatic experiences with our spouses, because they're just going to hold that secondary trauma. And like Sam, you've always said, it doesn't have to be the blood and guts. It could be, hey, I lost a kid today, or I was at a bad car accident today. I need a little time to decompress. At least it gives your spouse that okay, I got it. I'll give him his 30 minutes, or otherwise it's like they're in a loss. They don't know if they did something wrong or what's going on, and it leaves them in a constant spiral.
Yeah. One of the things that has been really important to me as we're developing this program and wanting to make it the best that we can to serve the community, I've met with firefighter peer support, police peer support in our area, and we're going to continue to do so, hopefully with the VA as well. But all of them have said we need family support. That is the big gaping hole. So one thing that Andrea and I are working on is really building that out and making that something that's sustainable and helpful, and giving people communication tools. Like you said, there's boundaries. We have to hold internal boundaries. Internal boundaries are what I let out and what I let in. And so I can't just, let out all the trauma onto my spouse, right? But what I can do is have means of communication and tools, and even code words like, today's a hard day and I need some space today, or I needed some process. This is the type of support. And if we have cope ahead plans, right, we can operate in a much healthier marriage, because we don't, families don't need their spouse to come home and explode or take out their fear or pain on them, right? They want to come home and be able to function and have a healthy marriage and be able to interact with their kids. And we want that for them too. And so, we're working on teaching and developing those skills. How do you come home off of shift, right? What does that look like? And what is that transition? How do you shift from that? How do you, go out to eat when you're hypervigilant and you can't turn that off, and you're, constantly aware of exit strategies and things like that? How do you, come home from deployment, which is a different process than, let's say, our badged officers might have, from the 48, 97, like the different shift work from 6-8 month, year-long deployments versus coming home and transitioning. These are all things that we're talking about and considering, building strategies for, coping skills, and then incorporating that with our families as well.
It is so important. When we got to take our next quick break. When we come back, let's kind of get into the program a little bit and talk about how it functions. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam, with our special guest, Caitlin Andrea with Unbroken. Before we left, Caitlin, you were bringing up something that, every time we do these shows, something sparks in my head, and I got to bring it up. You brought up the hypervigilance. And so many of our first responders and military do not understand that they are stuck in a constant hypervigilant state because it becomes the norm. That hypervigilance overtakes you. And like you said, you lose that sense of enjoyment. So going out to dinner and making sure that you're planning your exit strategies. When you go to the movies with your kids, you're planning those exit strategies. Your body cannot enjoy because you are on duty. You're already perceiving a threat. So everybody becomes a threat. The old lady coming up with the bag is a threat. Everything your body can't enjoy. And a lot of I would say many of our first responders and veterans are stuck in that and can't get out because that's all they know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead, Andrea.
So when I spoke earlier about emotions being molecular energy, that is a perfect example to where if a first responder comes home and they're hugging their spouse or engaging in play with the kids, your energy in that hypervigilance is like vibrating molecules, and it is creating an energy that it's going past you and it's being picked up by others. So people in public may feel like they need to be on guard around you, or your spouse may feel as though there's a distance or just like a boundary that's really hard to see through. And that's part of what we do, is we're helping educate and teach individuals to recognize emotions in their body again. That's usually different than what they grew up with. Oftentimes it was angry was not a safe emotion, and if you weren't happy, you couldn't share. And what we're teaching is the 8 basic emotions with the sensations within the body to reacclimate and refamiliarize yourself with your nervous system. And as we do that, we're going to look at the cultural impacts, the family roles, the impact the stress has on you, the recovery. What does recovery look like for you? Even if it's not substances, what does emotional recovery look like? There's an emotional hangover. It's very similar to a substance hangover. And so when we go through assignments and we work through what is trauma, Peter Levine says trauma is anything less than nurturing. And when we look at that, everyone has experienced trauma in various extents. But we want to take that and understand deeper why. So what you've encountered through your lifetime is going to impact how you show up in these crisis intervention times. It's going to impact how you see the events. But with our work and the impact and the lectures and material that we're doing, we can bring that back to within a range that you're able to understand your nervous system, moderate and release.
Andrea, on that point, let me ask something. What we discussed today in the beginning of the show with like the NYPD officers.
Yep.
I mean, let's wipe all trauma, no shootings that but let's look at the shift work.
Yep.
Back in the day, they said shift work causes this as well. 12-hour shifts with no break, no days off, and constantly in that state of hypervigilance. The damage that must be occurring in our first responders' bodies and minds is exorbitant.
Absolutely. So their window of tolerance has gotten so small when they're doing 12. So their body hasn't had time to get a restful sleep, to regenerate the nerves that they're wearing out, that are overfiring because of the adrenaline and endorphins that are running through their system when they're doing 12 on and 12 every day.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. So you're going to see a very high increase, most likely, of suicidality in the New York officers. You're going to see beyond burnout. You're going to see relationships, domestic violence, some very critical, violent exerts of this energy that is dispersed because of the conditions that they're currently working in.
Yeah.
Whereas if they gave them additional time off to breathe, to recoup, I think it would be different.
And what's sad is they're going to blame the officer. They're going to say,
right,
like in a domestic violence situation, he gets home, he loses his shit over something small but not meaningful, right? And God forbid he strikes his wife or the wife strikes the husband, whatever dynamic that is, right? It's going to be, now he's got that bad rap. But who's to blame to really push him to that edge? It's the system itself that is pushing all these normal human beings. They are not robots that can have a switch that can go on and off. It's only a matter of time before something happens. And when you brought up the suicide, that we are going to have an increase, someone should be held accountable for that. Because what's going to happen? that officer's going to commit suicide and we're all going to do it and everybody's going to do it. Oh, that's a shame. He should have got help. But when did he have time?
Right. When was he granted the day off? And
Right.
we started talking about EAP and that's for everybody. That's like the HR. It's not like EAP for first responders. It's not a separate,
Right.
It's connected to the government or whatever the entity is. So you don't have that specialization piece. And when you have a recognized stressor, and I want to get into a little bit about how the program looks, because it's not, people always say, oh my God, therapy, you're on the couch, there's one clinician. Unbroken, the Unbroken program at the Meadows, it's different. You have it's outpatient. It deals with addiction, because we've all seen the stories. Hey, there's lots of different addictions out there, and they need to be addressed because they're part of it. And how, my question, we were talking about emotions, that we have the F word, feelings, and we'll add emotions, the E word to it. We don't always do that so well. So coming into a group, how do you break down that barrier? Because I'm saying,
My F word is not about feelings.
Yeah. So, it's funny. So we have an 8-week curriculum, which is really wonderful. And we happen to be in Emotions Week this week. And so it happens to be what we worked on today. And my favorite thing to start with is understanding that emotions don't have moral value, right? There are no good and bad emotions. All emotions are acceptable. And it's what we do with them that kind of starts to bring in that moral value. And so becoming comfortable and sharing with those, checking in with our bodies, connecting our emotions to body sensations. We check in with our emotions every single day in group. And at first in my group, it's like I'm good. We always laugh. Our old clinical director here, who is just so wonderful, she'd always say, good as a cheeseburger, give me an emotion. And so I've adopted that, and we kind of talk about that, and I laugh and think of Martha Graham every single time. But my favorite thing is to connect someone back to their emotions, right? Because this whole world, this internal world, becomes alive again, right? We are emotional beings. And we say here at the Meadows, the opposite of addiction is connection, right? The opposite of our addiction or mental health struggles is connection. And it is connection to ourself, right? First and foremost, and then connection to others. And so if I can't be emotionally connected, I don't have any way to relate to other people and function in a relational capacity in my life. And so, yeah, it's fun. Like, it's fun to see, this population is gruff and rough around the edges, and we don't talk about those things. And pretty soon we are sharing deep, vulnerable, real, heavy things in a healthy way, and connecting and relating. And it's beautiful because the group becomes each other's healers, right? They start sharing and get vulnerable. And then it's like, oh, me too. And that reminds me of when I was 5. And I didn't know that was in me, but I haven't talked about that since I was a kid, or I've never shared that. Wow. Right. And it becomes, when you create and cultivate a safe space, people are much more skilled at sharing their emotions than you think they are. Right.
How does it make you feel?
The compass.
How does it make you feel? Like when you use the word beautiful with expressing the emotions, but how does it make you feel when you guys are working with somebody, a veteran or first responder, and they are all geared up like this at everything, and then finally you see them starting to...
We're going to leave that on a cliffhanger. We got to take another quick break and hear from OBBM. We're going to answer that when we come back. Stay tuned, everybody.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to a bed.
Yeah, no, John, what I wanted to say is before you did the welcome back is because we've got this great expansion with OBBM, and you just heard how you get in touch with them. Hey, if you have got a business or something that you want to get out there into the world, just reach out to either OBBM or me and John, and we'll get everything set up for you. So you'll go out to the world. So
There you go.
yes, go ahead, John.
Oh, well, welcome back to Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam and Caitlin and Andrea with Unbroken. Before we left, we were talking about that closed up feeling. We have an amazing therapist in our group, John Edmondson, who works with the Badge of Honor, and therapists need therapy. You guys are listening to all the traumas every single day, so you're internalizing that stuff. You have to release that. So let's get back to
this. Let's get back to the question.
I'm making my point.
Okay.
So when you see a first responder all like bottled up, and all of a sudden he starts opening up, that must give you such a great relief and sense of pride and accomplishment that you finally got to break through to him, and the healing process can now begin.
I think when you talk about the breakthrough, that's the trust. That tells us that they're starting to trust us. And it really is an exciting moment that the rapport's built to do the work, that they trust us enough to be vulnerable. Because when you cross, you're protective. But as you start to be more open and willing and vulnerable, it opens so many doors for us to do the interventions that we can do to get to the pain. And we want to go to the pain, regardless what maladaptive coping it is, whether it's an addiction, process addiction, or depression and isolation, suicidality. We want to get to the pain. And when we can get to the pain, we can start the healing process to come from the inside out. Caitlin?
Yeah. You asked what I feel. I feel hope. Because I am acutely aware, and you kind of tied this with like us having our own self-care and like boundaries, really internal boundaries, and how we take care of ourselves. I feel hope because I know healing's coming for them. And I also can't take credit, because if I take that on, then I'm also taking responsibility for their healing. And like, I get the wonderful honor of walking alongside someone and guiding them, but I can't do it for them. And so when they uncross their arms, they're choosing to do that willingly, not because, yes, because I'm doing a good job in creating an environment and shining the light. And yeah, I'll give myself some credit there, but they're doing that. They're doing that work. That's brave and courageous. And I tell my group all the time, I am so fortunate because I get to work with the bravest individuals on the face of the planet, because they came into this building and got help. Like the work we do, Andrea always says we put the intense in intensive. And I really love that because it's true. I think the work that we do at the Meadows, it is not for the faint of heart. And, you get people in my group and they're like, I didn't know that it was going to be this hard, like that we were going to go this deep and this much. And I don't say that to scare anyone off, but, I hope that that's encouraging, but because we're not doing the fluffy kumbaya moments. No, like we're going to go in and really go to a space, go to that pain, like Andrea said, so you can heal. so you can go back to the job you love, so you can go have a healthy, functioning family, so you can go out and enjoy your life and not feel like you have to hide in alcohol or hide and isolate because you can't handle being outside of your house unless you have a badge on. We want people to live their lives and be able to do that in the best capacity that is possible for them.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I realize I'm muted. So for first responder or family members, sorry, I had some noise in the background, that are, we've had a lot of discussions about spouses recognizing that their significant other needs assistance. And how would you deal with a spouse that calls that says, hey, this is what's going on at home. I need some help, but he or she will not take that next step. What would be your suggestion on getting their loved one to talk to you guys?
I'll take that, Caitlin. So what we want to do is we want to talk with the loved one that called in. So we're going to say, how can we help support you until they're ready?
Okay.
And then we can help educate the family and provide resources and do a tour potentially with a loved one that's needing support and kind of explain what does it look like, what a typical day may be. Just try to see if we can't gain the understanding and acceptance of maybe things aren't so great and what would it hurt to try.
Okay. Yeah, that is fantastic because I'm sure you guys, we hear about it all the time. That this loved ones recognize that their spouse needs the help, but they don't know how to exactly handle it. So thank you so much for doing that for family members. And is it in terms of the outpatient, what does it really look like for the first responder, the military member? Are they, coming in the back door or is it just group? They have assignments. We heard that. They're not living there, but are they working full time at the same time?
So that's one of the challenges that can be hard to navigate is, we, because of the work that we do, we're 4 days a week, 3 hours a day in my group, that they would also have an individual session, and we have trauma therapy on top of that they can engage in, or if they're ready for it. We also offer neurofeedback, which is an incredible add-on in our program that allows people to help regulate their nervous system and brain. It promotes better sleep, reduced headaches, less hypervigilance, reduced anxiety. I mean, it is just phenomenal, and can meet with our psychiatrist. And so, if people have the opportunity to be on leave, we encourage that. And we will also work with them if they're in a space where they're unable to. We understand that people have to do what they have to do to live, to pay their bills. Like, it's a hard economy. I think our first responders could probably all use a pay raise across the board. And so we understand that might not be feasible. And we're going to do the best we can to work with people with the schedules that they have.
Let me ask some with that topic. Sam, with our guest last week, we were talking about he was sent by the job to what they call the farm, and that was for alcohol addiction. He was drinking a lot and stuff. So departments will send you to AA for a 30-day stint up there. They will send you for a 60-day recovery. You had a lot of stress. Let the department send you for a 2-week retreat. Are we seeing departments do that?
What we're seeing is that most of them want to start with a lower level of care. Where we have residential treatment for 30, 45, 60 days, that is possible for addiction and mental health. We're seeing most departments want to go with the least restrictive environment, which would be our IOP. And so IOP, think of it as a part-time job. So you're looking at 20 to 25 hours of treatment-related activities. So that's going to include attending a peer support meeting, potentially a 12-step meeting, and therapy. So
Is this self-initiated by the officer, or is the department giving the officer time off to do this?
both. We've seen both.
Okay, that's what I want. I didn't know if the departments were doing that and reaching out for the help of the officers. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And so we have wellness officers within the police departments and fire departments. We also have peer support representatives. They're all reaching out to us to get the officers and firemen help. And however it comes in, whether it's a department referral, a peer response referral, or a family member, we figure out what's the best solution for them at that time.
Good.
I think those peer support programs are so important for us to support and have healthy partnerships with, because the peer support programs are doing a really phenomenal job, and yet they're also not therapists, right? They're supporting each other. And so we can come in and say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. How can we support you? How can we come alongside you to do what you're doing to support your officers, your people at your station, whatever that is, right? And then when you realize they need more than what you can provide, we're here, right? And it can be a really healthy, wonderful relationship that we hold different spaces, right? I don't hold the peer support seat because I don't have a badge, right? But I am an excellent expert in trauma, right? That is the seat that I get to hold. And so when someone needs to get more support there and they can't function in their profession the way they want to, or in their family, or they're drinking because they can't untie from the flashbacks, right? Like, man, we'll come in that space and we'll help you get your life back.
It's a seamless transition. And when you have that teamwork and that partnership where it's like, hey, you need to go talk to Caitlin. She's awesome. She's got you. This is a little bit above what we're looking at because we care for you. So that's like the peer support. And then, yeah, that's having the best of all worlds right there. Like Todd always says, you have the buffet of options, but this is like, we're not giving you an option. Where the peer support recognizes that the next steps need to be taken, and here you guys come, and that's phenomenal. And John and I are always talking about taking next steps. So sometimes those next steps include what makes us feel good. And East Texas Legends Coffee Company makes us feel good. So we talk about this every single week. Live with purpose, 1 cup of coffee at a time. East Texas Legends Coffee Company, founded by Ben and Amanda Holmes, reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming post-traumatic stress to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas, rooted in faith, family, and community. Their mission: inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. So drink coffee, be legendary. Go to etxlegendscoffee.com. Use promo code BADGE for 15% off coffee and merch, or you can just hold your phone up to this QR code. You'll get right to the page, and don't forget to use that promo code BADGE for 15% off. John, I don't know about you. I know you're probably got the air conditioning blasting, so you're hot. I'm cold again today because it's just too hot out here. So I saw Amanda over the weekend. And here's how awesome East Texas Legends is. So everybody knows my favorite is Diablo. I like the dark roast. Said, Amanda, can you make this in decaf? We get the 5-pound bags because me and Steve. And she said, yes, I can. So we got decaf and calf, both in the dark roast, because
all right,
to break it up.
Little decaf for the nighttime, little caffeine for the morning time.
A little, I mean, with all my craziness with adrenaline and all that stuff that I went through with the trauma, kind of ease into not half and half, but a little less caffeine. But I'm not missing out on any of the flavor, and that's the key. So go get your coffee from from Ben and Amanda. And as we come back to the show with Caitlin and Andrea from the program The Unbroken at the Meadows, these awesome people are out of Dallas. Is Unbroken a program that you all have throughout the country, or are we starting here in Dallas?
We do. So we have the residential program in Princeton, Texas for our substance use. Mental health is in Wickenburg, Arizona. And then it is at our outpatient centers at Austin, Houston, Atlanta, Denver, Scottsdale, Chicago, Las Vegas, and Silicon Valley.
Wow. Okay. So there's really, I mean, the only excuse would be I don't have time off work, but you have got to get it in your brain that you matter most, because you cannot do a job with your cup half full. So you got to take care of yourselves. These folks at the Meadows have made it super easy for you and your family members to plug in. I have the website, which is connected. I'm going to put it up here to Unbroken at the Meadows. It's a little bit long. So it's meadowsoutpatient.com/Unbroken at the Meadows. We'll have it in the show notes for those of you listening on your favorite podcast app. Is that the best place to go, or is there a simpler?
It's a great place to go. We can also provide our emails for direct communication if they would like to reach out, and we can connect them with the admissions line to get through. We do have a separate line through our admissions for the Unbroken program so that we can expedite and make sure we get as quickly as possible the process done so they can get in the room and get treatment.
Fantastic.
I will also say, Andrea mentioned this earlier, but we have a ton of freestanding groups also. So maybe you're not a military vet or first responder watching, but you're interested in what we do at the Meadows, and that appeals to you, and you're like, oh, I could really get some help with some of these things in the curriculum. Our admissions line is for anyone, right? Those spouses, they can go and they wouldn't be in the Unbroken group, but they would be in a regular group working on anxiety, depression, addiction, trauma, right? Any of that.
How the life of the spouse is impacted by the life of the first responder. Yeah. And we can address that. So as a treatment team, Caitlin can bring in portions of the Unbroken and how the first responder is hearing, seeing things. And we can translate that to the loved one and work on their process on how to better communicate and understand.
Well, that makes all the difference in the world. So you're covering the whole family, and it's so important. It really is. And then, it can go on. Kiddos, it can be with mom or dad.
Unfortunately, no. We're only 18 and up, even with our support groups.
Okay. Well, my kid's 18 and he's still a kiddo, so
they're still kids.
Yeah, they're still kids. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, for explaining this amazing program. It's right here, well, in your backyards, no matter where you are across the country. And keep up the phenomenal work, because as you all have learned, we learn how to be better first responders. We learn how to be better moms and dads, and spouses, and the whole thing. So we can't thank you enough.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we will definitely be in touch.
Great.
Take care, guys.
All right. Have a good night.
Keep up the good work.
Love it. This fully comprehensive program. This is what our first responders and our military members and the community need. So please do not be a stranger. Check out Unbroken at the Meadows. You can, they're on social media, so you can go to the Meadows and you can see all of where they operate. So whether you're here in the DFW area, out near Scottsdale, and everywhere in between, you can get the help that you absolutely deserve. And, we talk about healing in so many different ways. We've had phenomenal guests on, and I'm just going to go down the list here. We have got Sierra Delta with their golf tournament, because, golf, you got to be focused. during the game. It is healing. Sierra Delta has an amazing mission. You can go to sierradelta.com. Their golf tournament it's on a Monday. So you can take a break and watch us and continue on September 21st. And so get in touch with BJ over there, sierradelta.com. We also have our friends over up in Wisconsin, Joe and Liz Bartholomew, with Responders Retreat. Those spaces are filling up fast. Excuse me, puppies. Hey, shush, I'm doing announcements. September 28th through October 2nd in Three Lakes, Wisconsin. Hey, knock it off. And it is a beautiful country up there. Just imagine peer support in the great outdoors. And they have first responders from across the country. They're already running out of space. So you definitely want to get over there and get your space. Firstrespondersretreat.org. And then we're taking over Texas. If you haven't been watching the show, John and I and John Edmondson and Jeff Freeman, the entire team from A Badge of Honor, we're taking over Allen, Texas, to be exact. And that is September 25th and 26th. That's a Friday, Saturday with TexasTakeover100.com. What this is it is a group of us from X. Okay. We are passionate about how do we operate at 100%. So like first responders, spouses of, family members, you want to learn to take your game to the next level. To do that, you need to be with us again, Friday, Saturday, September 25th, 26th. Get the little things. Maybe you're already at 100%. Maybe you already operate there. Maybe you need just a tad bit more. These folks, they are from across the country. I think we might even have some folks coming over from overseas, bringing their A game, bringing fresh new ideas and perspectives in health and wellness and beyond that, because we all need to give to ourselves. We all need to learn what it takes to refill our cup. Okay. And that's what this is all about. TexasTakeover100.com. Get your tickets. It's being held at the name of the hotel escapes me, but you can get a group rate. So they have the hotel rooms there. So TexasTakeover100.com. We will see you there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. We can't do this without you, and keep expanding the way we are. Thank you, OBBM, for that. To all of our first responders out there, you have prayer warriors that are praying for your safe return every single night or day, whatever your shift is. Keep doing what you're doing, protecting our communities. For those of you that need a little help with that, with the de-stress, please, as we started the show, get the help you need. Okay. We are on your side. We need you to be on our side. So we're doing the mirroring thing. Okay. So, to all of our veterans out there, thank you for fighting the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every single week. And to our active duty personnel spread out across the globe, thank you for keeping our shores safe here at home. John, take us home.
You know, Sam, tomorrow, a lot of wounds are going to be open. It is July 7th. And that tragedy happened right here in our own backyard in Dallas, where we lost 7 Dallas officers to a lone gunman. A lot of families were devastated. So on behalf of yourself and me and A Badge of Honor, today's show, the healing process, we want to dedicate it to all the family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers of the Dallas 7. Please reach out if you're having any battles. Wounds are hard to close once they're reopened. And just keep doing the great work. Peace.
Till next week, everybody. Take care.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.